Legion is one of Marvel's best shows, but no one ever talks about it. This is because this show isn't for everyone. If you're going into this expecting a straightforward plot, hero versus villain story, an understandable theme, you're probably not going to find it here. And if you're asking yourself, is this connected to the MCU? You're already going into it wrong. It's kind of what I hate about the MCU. So much of the time, it's more about who's the character interacting with and less about the character themselves. Like, no one cared about Doctor Strange 2 before it came out. They cared about the multiverse of madness and if Spider-Man's gonna be there or Tom Cruise is gonna be Iron Man. Like, all this stuff is like not about Doctor Strange. And I say all that because this show is all about its main character. It's not setting up some future sequel, it's not doing anything, it's just him. Now that I got all that disclaimer out the way, I could proudly show my appreciation for this show. And this show came out in 2017, back when Fox was still a company. Remember, they had their own X-Men movies, they had their own whole superhero universe. Well, this was kind of like their dip into TV. It's about a quote-unquote mentally ill man named David Haller, who's the son of Charles Xavier, but then he finds out his schizophrenic delusions are actually his superpowers. Now, that plot description doesn't really explain the show that well because each season is like very different. Like, it's a continuous story, but they're all very different. Like, this show is very creative. It's constantly just doing things. There's an animated fight, and then at one point it's a silent film for a couple minutes with like the title cards and all that. And it's just very hard to describe the show. I feel like calling it weird is kind of an insult, but it is very odd. The best way to describe it is surreal. If you like shows like Atlanta, Twin Peaks, Utopia, then you'll definitely enjoy this show. This show is just filled with visual storytelling. The first episode already sets itself apart from any other Marvel shows. Already off the bat, just by constantly changing its aspect ratio, the framing squeezes David literally, and it does this to show that some of these scenes could be seen as fake.
I knew it was fake!
They could be movies in his head, or not. That's kind of like the fun of the show. But then there's also moments of tension where he uses his powers and the camera pulls away and shows just how small he is compared to what's going on. When new locations are introduced, they're normally blurry, as if they weren't fully realized in David's mind, or when he's behind planes of glass, physically isolating him from others, allowing his paranoia to build. All these individual things allow us to better visualize David's powers or delusions, open for interpretation, no spoilers. This is what separates other MCU shows to this show. They all have like one or two creative choices. Like how WandaVision uses sitcoms, or how Moon Knight has split personalities. But Legion has an overwhelming amount of creative choices. Like how ambiguous the show is what we're watching real or fake? Is David being controlled by someone else? I can't talk about that last one because spoilers. It's not what you think. But I really do love the show. It's just so interesting. You just like sit there and wonder, how did they think of this? How did they do this? Like, considering how good the direction is, cinematography, acting, this show is criminally underrated. It's easily top 3 Marvel, and not 3. I mean, okay, it is a flawed masterpiece. Some of its flaws are its occasionally cringy dialogue. Also, some critics said that the show didn't have an overarching theme or idea. But I feel like when you finish it, everyone comes to their own conclusion of what it all meant, because it comments on so many different topics throughout its runtime, and I feel like some people won't like that you kind of have to fill in the blank yourself. There's also my favorite saying, style versus substance. You could say that everything that's happening on screen is too much, but it is David's power, so there's kind of a reason for all of its style. But an actual flaw is it uses time travel, which never ever makes sense. Anytime a show ever uses time travel, you could always find plot hole, but it does time travel just to make a point, and I can kind of let it slide. But what I can't let slide is season 2. Like, I literally fell asleep watching it. And like, I don't normally fall asleep watching TV, but the last time was the live action Cowboy Bebop. And obviously this show isn't that bad, but I don't know, maybe I was tired. Actually, now that I think about it, I watched the show when it came out, and then when season 2 came out, this is when I stopped watching it, in the middle of season 2. So I don't know, like season 2 episode 6, I think that's like the only legitimately bad episode of the series, because like once you understand its purpose, it just doesn't need to be that long. I don't know. There's also the Sydney episode. I don't know, it's not bad. Like, I just feel like those episodes should be like 20 minutes, way shorter. But season 2 isn't all bad. It does have educational segments. Like I said, the show is very creative. It's just constantly doing things. And it uses the educational segments to frame the story in an interesting way. Really to just make the twist hit home. And it is very good. It's a very good twist. Obviously, I'm not going to say too much. No spoilers and all that. But yeah. But looking back on this show, it's kind of sad how bad the ratings are, or like how bad the viewership was, because I mean, it's not like people want to see a show about an allegedly mentally ill hero who comes to terms with his weaknesses and his strengths, even though he doesn't get to live a regular life. If you couldn't tell, I just described Moon Knight, a show with obnoxiously high ratings, only beat by like known heroes like WandaVision and Loki, and they were in some of the biggest movies ever. And like, obviously Moon Knight and Legion are two very different shows, but with all the similarities there, I can't help myself and just call Moon Knight a watered down version of Legion that gets just way more praise. Because like, if you look at the two shows side by side, Legion makes Moon Knight look like a fan film. I don't know. All I could do is just recommend the show to you guys. I do want more shows like this, shows that actually take risks. But yeah, hopefully you guys take my advice and actually watch the show. If you're not interested, then tell us why in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thanks for watching.